Hey, what's up? Good afternoon, everyone. I hope that you guys are having an absolutely peaceful and very restful Sunday. So, I know that it's pretty unusual for me to actually come on and do a live on a Sunday, but I thought that it was great for me to actually come and drop some knowledge, some Sunday morning, now getting ready to get into afternoon knowledge with my followers. And this is really stemming from a direct message that I got yesterday about selecting the proper running shoes. And it was so ironic to actually get that question posed to me via direct message yesterday, because yesterday was the day that I had allotted to actually buy a pair of new running shoes. And so, with that being said, I'm actually going to unveil the shoes that I selected, the shoes that I'm going to be using to carry me through my training to Chicago Marathon, which is slated for October 10th, and to give you guys some tips on how to go about selecting the proper running shoe. Okay, so we are going to get right into it, and we are going to first get into the unveiling. Drum roll. Okay, so these are my brand new, well, not too brand new because I actually broke them in this morning, but my brand new babies. So these are the Nike Downshifter 11s, okay? Downshifter 11s, women's, all right? And of course, they are Nikes, because if you know me, you know that I absolutely love the Nike brand. This is my 9th pair of Nike running shoes. And so I'm absolutely excited to get my training miles in on this. And I'm definitely going to do a follow-up video just to let you guys know how the shoe has been working for me, how it feels, how, how I will end up, I guess, gelling, for lack of a better word, with the shoe during the course of my training, okay? So if you want to go Google it, check it out. That was my shoe of choice. It's the Nike Downshifter 11s, okay? And I just got them at Hoffer's Cable Beach. They actually just came in yesterday, believe it or not. When I came into the store, they literally just unpacked the shoe. And so I told the sales clerk that that shoe was definitely tailor-made for me, okay? So now we're going to get into some very frequently asked questions that I get about selecting a proper pair of running shoes, okay? And so the first question, I guess, the first point that I'll get into, and a common question is, how often should you change your running shoes? How often should you change or retire your running shoes? Okay, so typically you want to get in, I would say, between 400 to 500 miles on a pair of shoes. And 500, to be honest, is actually a little bit on the high side. But again, if you're like me, you actually like to physically fit your shoes. And so I can tend to take it up to 500 just to allow me that time to actually fit my shoes. Now, there are some persons who are perfectly comfortable and confident with ordering shoes, online, and actually bringing them in, and it's a perfect fit and feel for them. And that's a risk, I guess you can say, that they're willing to take to have more variety in terms of selecting the shoe. But typically you want to look at between 400 to 500 miles, and it's real easy to actually track that information. So if you're using a running based app, like for me, I use Nike Run Club in conjunction with Garmin Connect. And so both of those apps actually have a feature that is tied into your settings, where you can actually upload the shoe that you're running in, and the app will basically track how many miles you're putting on your shoes, okay? And in the case of Nike Run Club, it'll actually give you a little alert to let you know that you're close to your goal or your max on the shoes, and they'll give you a little prompt or reminder that it's time to change your running shoes, okay? So it really takes the guesswork in terms of how many miles you're putting on your shoes, all right? So The second point is, what time of day should you fit your running shoes? All right. So during the course of a run, any type of run, any type of training run, your feet automatically swells, right? So the pounding from the running causes a natural swelling of your feet, okay? And so in terms of the time of day you should fit your running shoes, you want to look at between 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. And reason being, let's say if you haven't done any running for that particular day, it's a kind of a low-key day for you, but that's a day that you may be out and about, you're running errands and you're pretty much on your feet, or in the case of like a work day where you're kind of up and down and you're on your feet. So if you are fitting your shoes between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m., you would have already started to accumulate some of that natural swelling that I just spoke about that occurs during the course of a run. And so what that does, it allows you to actually get your feet in a similar position that it would have been in had you just come fresh off of a run. Okay, so it's really talking about being able to accommodate for that natural swelling of the feet. So you don't want to go ahead and fit shoes like first thing in the morning, because what's going to happen is as you progress through your run and your feet begin to swell, then what happens is that shoe that is true to fit or close to fit is actually going to start to feel tight on your feet as the run progresses. And of course, that is going to lead to different pain, discomfort, etc. in the feet and the shoe actually feeling too tight. Now, persons tend to accommodate for that. Let's say in the instance where they're not physically fitting their shoes, or they're not fitting their shoes in person, by ordering a half size or a full size up to make allowance really for that swelling in the feet that I just spoke of. But again, for me, it's always my personal preference to actually fit your shoes in person. Okay, so what I want to also talk about is while we're on the subject of really talking about the pain and discomfort on the feet, we definitely want to touch on today why you should not be running in cross trainers, okay? And really the difference between a running shoe and a pair of cross trainers. And I am actually going to use my shoe as an example, okay? And just looking at some of the specs of an actual running shoe and how they differ from a cross trainer, and why you may be experiencing discomfort in your feet if you are running in cross trainers. Okay, so we're going to get into that. This right here obviously is my new running shoe. One of the more obvious differences between a pair of cross trainers and a pair of running shoes is this, definitely the sole of the shoe. Okay, so in a pair of proper running shoes, you will absolutely find that the sole and the heel of the shoe is thicker, okay, and pretty much thicker you will see throughout, okay? So the rationale for having that thicker sole obviously is running is a high impact sport, okay? So it's a lot of pounding. I know runners don't like to hear that, but it is a lot of pounding on your joints, your bones, your muscles, etc. And so with respect to the feet, you definitely in a pair of running shoes will have that thicker heel and sole, because what it does, it helps to absorb the shock from that pounding of your feet hitting the pavement. Okay, guys? In a pair of cross trainers, you will find that you're not going to have that same level of cushion or shock absorption really, because the shoe is not designed for that purpose. Cross trainers are pretty much what you will do like your gym workouts in, or if you're outside and you're doing high interval, high intensity interval training, or your HIIT workouts. So those are really the type of activities or walking that you will actually perform or carry out in a pair of cross trainers, because the impact is minimal. The impact in terms of your feet to the pavement or to the ground is minimal in comparison to actually running. And so you will find that persons who just tend to run in cross trainers, they complain a lot about pain in the ankle, in the feet, and in your shins. And again, that's because the lack of cushioning and not really being able to absorb the shock from the constant pounding that running really puts on the feet when you are hitting the pavement. So you absolutely want to make sure that you have invested in a sensible pair of running shoes. I always say that running is pretty much a low maintenance sport in terms of what you need, but number one on the top of the list if you're going to engage in a running program is to invest in a sensible pair of running shoes. And it doesn't have to be anything expensive, but it does have to be effective and, you know, do the job really that is called to do in terms of making sure that your feet are comfortable on the road. Okay, so that's just the difference between running shoes and cross trainers and why you should invest in running shoes. So as my last point, I am going to let you guys know what should you look for in a pair of running shoes. So you're getting ready to go out and purchase a pair of running shoes, and so you want to know some of the attributes of the shoe that you should be looking for. So again, I'm going to pull up my babies just to give you guys an indication as to what you should be looking for in a pair of running shoes and what tongue twister works well for me. Okay, so a huge thing for me is the top of the shoe here, what we call the toe box. All right, toe box. So it's almost like a little semicircle, but they call it a box. Okay, so it's the toe box. You absolutely want to make sure that you have room here in the toe box area. You don't want this toe box area to be too snug. Okay, and I'll just share a little personal story with you guys on this. The reason why I retired my Air Zoom Pegasus 35s early, and that was the shoe that I ran Miami Marathon in, and my feet were in excruciating pain after that marathon, and that was actually the first time I experienced losing a toenail, because the toe box on the Air Zoom Pegasus 35s are a bit more snug than some of the other models that I would have run in the past, and that's your Pegasus 34s and the 36s. And so it really caught to really run a full marathon in those shoes. It was excruciating for me. It was, you know, my feet were in a lot of pain. They were incredibly swollen. And so you absolutely want to make sure that you have room in the toe box of your shoes, that they're comfortable, that you're able to, you know, wiggle your toes comfortably, and that it's not overly tight at the front of the foot. Okay, where you want to experience a little snugness is here with the laces, because you want to make sure that the shoes are not too big and that they're actually, you know, kind of snug to the feet, not tight, but snug, just to make sure that the shoe is not slipping off, because again, that can cause injury and discomfort as well if you're not getting that snugness here in the shoe. And this is actually interesting with this shoe, because this particular brand is designed that once it laces up, it actually has an automatic snug closure to the feet to secure the feet in the shoe, which I think is actually pretty cool. So I read up on that. And the other thing that you really want to look at that's important when you're buying actually a pair of running shoes, you want to make sure that the heel is comfortable as well, that you have that cushioning right here in the heel of the shoe. Okay, because you definitely don't want to have issues in your shin when you're running either. It's the same thing, the same way that you would want the toe box of the shoe to be comfortable, you want the heel of the shoe to be comfortable, and you absolutely, you know, want it to be, how should you say? Like I said, you want to have that cushioning, like I said, at the heel of the shoe. Okay, so you want to make sure it's not too thin, so that the material from the shoe is, you know, rubbing on the shin or causing discomfort. Okay, so that's just another point to look for. And for me personally, what you want to look at, you want to look at the weight of the shoe. Okay, so you definitely want to make sure that the shoe is lightweight. Okay, reason being, nobody wants to run and kind of feel as though you have cement blocks, more or less, that are just hooked or attached onto your feet while you're running. Okay, you definitely want to make sure that you invest in a lightweight pair of shoes. Now you don't want something flimsy, you know, obviously nothing flimsy, but you do want it to be lightweight. So you want it to be durable enough to carry you through your training miles, but you want it to be lightweight to the point where you are moving with ease, really, and your turnover and your cadence are not hindered by the weight of your shoe. Okay, so those are really just some points, like I said, unveiling my new shoe to you guys and really giving you guys some pointers on shopping for your own pair of running shoes. Okay, and so that is pretty much it. That is just my little tip, some little knowledge that I want to drop on you guys today, and to definitely, you know, let you guys know that a proper pair of running shoes is really the best investment in any running program. I always let clients and potential clients know before you sign up for Run Naturally, invest in a pair of sensible running shoes if you don't have a pair already. Okay? So with that being said, you guys have an absolutely wonderful Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and make sure that you are safe out there on the road and that you are comfortable. And I'm definitely going to be back, like I said, to drop a proper review on these shoes once I actually have, you know, some time to really put some mileage on these babies. Okay? So you guys make it a great Sunday.